Ever experienced the hurt of betrayal? Indeed, I have. You cannot tell me you want to be with other men and still claim to love me. You don't deserve anything more than I do, so you can't tell me that after 20 years of marriage you deserve a little extra. I am worthy of your affection, deference, allegiance, and faithfulness. When I faced my wife, her revelation rocked our world. This is my narrative. Brad, have fun watching it. What if I said I wanted to see someone else? Trying not to seem overly concerned, Brad said, "Wow, where did that come from? Is this a big talk kind of thing? Are we just talking or is this for real?" Vicki and Brad had been outside savoring the evening. This night was similar to a lot of other nights they spent together. With a flat but serious voice, Vicki asked, "What if it's not just talking?" Brad's heart gave him a shock. This conversation wasn't inane. He knew after 20 years that Vicki didn't ask questions like that carelessly. He cleared his throat and said, "What now?" His voice tight, he asked, "Do you need to ask after all our years together?" After pausing, she responded, "Yes, I would like to hear your thoughts." She attempted to joke, "Well, this is unexpected," but Brad realized this was serious. They had never before made any kind of hint about it. "I'd say shocking, Vicki. Have you found someone else? Is that why we're talking about this?" Vicki faced him with a sudden seriousness. "It's not like that, Brad, really. But asking that, it feels like you're looking to replace me. You don't play games, Vicki. So, are you saying I'm not enough? Just bringing this up makes me think you're not happy. So, have you found someone else?" Vicki appeared anxious. "No, not really. I guess I just wanted to know how you'd feel," she replied. "It's not easy, Brad." Brad gave a headshake. He never imagined that he would speak with his wife like this. "It's way more than just a question. You know that, okay? Skip the silly reasons for cheating. Then you can't say you love me and then want others. You can't say you've earned a bit extra after 20 years because you don't deserve more than I do, and I deserve your love, respect, trust, and to be the only one. You can't say it won't hurt us because it will, and it already has. You can't say it's just for fun because it's not. It's cheating on me, breaking promises. You can't say I can trust you after seeing you betray me. You won't be the same person, you'll be someone who doesn't care for me. Stay true to me or stay with me, someone I can't trust or care for anymore. You'd be a stranger and not someone I want in my life. So, your simple question, cheat on me, and we're done. That's how mad I'll be." "That's what I thought you'd say, Brad. But is it cheating if you say it's okay? Seriously, Vicki? Is that worth asking?" "I think so, Brad. It's not for me to say it's okay to cheat. Keeping your promise is up to you. You stay true or you break it and end us. Your call. I don't get a say. You don't love me enough to let me do this." Brad chuckled. "Why did you even think that way? It's not love if one of you messes up the bond. Love is when you stand strong and say no way to breaking what we have. Anything less is just not caring." "Not caring, yep, Vicki. Not caring to let it slide would be like me saying I don't care about you, us, our home, or our kids. Like saying you mean nothing to me, my life, or my dreams. Like saying, do whatever you want, I won't bother. Like I don't care about you at all. That's not caring, Vicki, from both sides. It's clear. I can't see it your way, Brad. Seems pretty old school, huh? There's no old school. You're smart and grown up. You choose how much our bond means to you, how much I mean, and staying with me. I shouldn't even have to say I wouldn't be okay with you picking someone else, and I shouldn't have to say it would end us if you did. So, I ask again, did you find someone to take my place?" "He wouldn't be a replacement, Brad." "Yes, he would, Vicki. To me, he really would be. Some might be okay with adding more people in, but not me. I never was, never will be. I chose to be with you, make a life with you, have kids, and get old together. Just you. Your own choice to bring someone else in would be the end for us. No space for more in what we have. I don't share, Vicki. I never did, never will. I haven't done anything yet, Brad. Yes, you have. Clearly, you have. No more playing around. Deep down, you've decided you want something else, someone not me. Really? How far did you go with this? I think you're making a big deal out of nothing, Brad. I don't think so. You wouldn't talk about this if you hadn't picked someone, made a plan, and started something. So, how far did it go, Vicki? Vicki gave voice to a deep sigh. She paused, then nodded slightly. Okay, fine. Yes, there's someone. I thought about having a quick thing with someone I know. So, you chose to make things bad for us too. Stop, Brad. I wouldn't make you feel bad on purpose. That's just you being upset. That's right, Vicki. Don't try that tired line about someone being too sensitive. We all have pride. It's part of who we are. Hurt that pride, and you hurt everything someone thinks of themselves, their value, their respect for themselves, all gone. How can you say you love someone but tear down what makes them them? Where's the love in hurting them like that? Vicki said nothing. Brad removed his hand from Vicki's. How far did you go with this person, Vicki? He asked. Vicki felt depressed as she watched him turn away and look down. He looked into her eyes, expecting to see jealousy or anger. Vicki, you've put a lot of thought into this, but not very good thought. You knew how I'd feel. You always knew. You probably spent more time making excuses for lying. Now tell me, how far did it go with this person? He said. He saw sadness instead. Why aren't you mad, Brad? Or jealous? Do you think I'm not worth the effort? Brad was taken aback by his question. Fight? Are we kids? The silliest thing a man can do is chase a woman who doesn't want him. That's just crazy. At this point, you should be trying harder to keep me. I haven't done anything wrong. All through our marriage, I didn't harm us. You can't say the same now. So, how deep are you in this with him? Vicki sighed as she wiped her nose and turned to face the pool. Not deep, Brad. Not as much as you might think. In the last 4 months, I've returned his flirts, I've had lunch with him a lot, I've gotten used to him, and I've shared private stuff. Private stuff? You mean you've talked about things we should have kept to ourselves? Yes, Brad. It wasn't on purpose at first, but it happened. I'm that comfortable with him. I trust him and like him a lot. I find him very attractive. I see. So, you admit you've been unfaithful in your heart. How far did you go in other ways? Well, too far, I would say. We haven't slept together, but it's heading that way. It's pretty close, really. We've talked about going further. You're planning it, right? That's what you mean? Yes, Brad. We've made plans, sort of. Sort of? Yes, sort of set in stone. But we both agree we want this to happen. Good that you didn't say you needed it. Is he married? I won't tell you that, Brad. I won't say who he is. I get it. You want to leave me guessing who among the men I know is betraying me. You don't see that as shameful? I have to suspect every man I meet, wondering if he's with my wife secretly. That's some kind of love? It's more like not caring. No respect for me, no staying true to me, and no care for being loyal to me. At least you're upfront about your reasons for wanting him, selfish as they are. I don't see it your way, Brad. I think you're wrong, overreacting. Forget that, want it or not, you've made yourself and this other guy the main thing in your life. I'm just an extra to you now, barely there. Our marriage is an extra for you too. With all your smarts, I thought you'd think hard about what messing around does. This isn't messing around, Brad. Oh, it is. You've been close with this guy for a while, you said it yourself. We haven't slept together, so do you really think that's all there is to cheating? It's not the heart stuff, that's what kills love. It takes away all the trust and respect when you cheat with your heart. That's what really hurts. Doing stuff is just the last bit, the nasty end. So, what do you think this will do to us later on? Jesus, Brad, you're going too far. To you, maybe. To me, it's right on. But you're seeing it as way too far. I can't see any bad stuff coming later from me having a short thing with him soon. Yes, later. No. Then you're really not thinking. You're so caught up in what you want that you've lost my respect. I can't take that, Brad. Doesn't matter what you believe now. So, what's the plan? Going out for a weekend away? Holidays alone? What's up with your new guy? Just tell me, Vicki. Vicki pulled a face and exhaled deeply. 2 weeks in Aruba, starting next Saturday. We fly out early at 6 o'clock in the morning. Aruba? Brad realized, yes, so it's already done. Seems like it, Vicki gave a nod. Wow, Vicki, do you ever think of others? What did I do to get this from you? Who are you even? Slow down, Brad, it's not that bad, he finally said, losing his composure. You think this is okay? You're wrong. You've gone and thrown away 20 years for a fling. Why? It's not like that, Brad. Well, it doesn't have to be. It's just fun, silly Vicki. So silly to think that's all you see it as. What's next? You're your own person, you're going to throw that at me too? That's all it is, Brad, just a bit of fun to you, Vicki. Just to you? What will we tell our kids? How do you think they'll feel knowing their mom chose this over their family? They know already. They know how much, everything. The trip too. They've known from the start. I didn't hide it from the start, his tone had become so soft. Months? Yes, so at our 20th anniversary, they knew. They said nothing. They kept it quiet for me. I asked them. You asked? They didn't mind. At first they did, then they thought it wouldn't matter. Times have changed, Brad, they're part of this new world. It's no big deal to them. They're not losing anything. In 3 weeks, we'll still be us. Nothing will change that. Just think about it. I'm not going anywhere, Brad, just taking some time. Time for me, with a friend, that's all. It won't hurt if you don't let it. Brad got up and remarked, You're dumb if you think I'd say yes to this, to Vicki. Taking out his phone, he called his 2 children who were attending the same college. They quickly caught up. Trying not to lose his temper, he said, Mark, Jennifer, your mom and I are having a talk about Aruba. Mark jumped right in, not astonished. Since his mother had instructed him and his sister on how to approach their father about it, he was aware that she intended to inform him and his sister tonight. Yes, Brad replied in a tense voice, You were aware of your mother's scheme? We did, Dad, Jennifer said quietly. She's been telling us for months. Why didn't you tell me? Don't I deserve to know that your mom wants to end our marriage? Don't you care? Brad complained. Dad, replied Mark, it's okay, this stuff happens, especially with couples who've been together a while. It's not that bad, relax. Some relax, Jennifer. Do you agree with him? We promised Mom we'd let her tell you, Jennifer replied. It's not great, but she really wants this, okay? She's earned a bit of freedom, Dad. Brad said, I know this hurts, like we don't care about you, but that's not true, before hanging up and switching off his phone. So my kids, they think it's okay to betray me too? They're fine with you breaking me, our marriage, and our family. They show no respect or loyalty to me, all while smiling and saying they love me at our anniversary? Wow, Brad, chill, you're making a big deal out of nothing." Brad gave his spouse a glance. "Wife, I can't tell you how much you've let me down. Not cool that you got the kids to side with you too. Wow, you guys have taken everything I love from me. You've left me with nothing. Brad is important to me." He got up and moved away from Vicki toward the edge of the pool. It was Jennifer who answered Vicki's phone. Vicki replied, continuing to observe Brad. "Not now, Jen. You and your brother wait a bit. Yes, your dad is mad, more at you two than at me right now. Just wait, he won't be easy to calm down. No, I won't change my mind. Whatever you and Mark need to wait." Vicki ended the call as Brad entered. She considered going with him, but ultimately chose to leave him alone. Brad walked to his office, ignoring her. He shut the door and hurriedly turned on the family computer. He discovered a fresh shock when he checked the bank online. Vicki had helped pay for a trip to Aruba with their joint funds. She paid a significant amount, though not the entire amount. She did not use her own money, they shared it. She desired to deceive him and hold him accountable. In a fit of rage, he closed their joint credit cards, paid them off, and transferred all of the funds from their joint bank accounts to his own. He then changed his own bank account's username and password. He was aware that going to the bank and emptying his safe box would have to wait until Monday. He then looked over his stock account. Vicki and him each had our own, and since his was working fine, he simply changed the username and password. He then examined the trust for the children's educational funds. Brad was in complete control of it. He transferred $600,000 to his personal bank, taking it all. His children were grown and capable of supporting themselves or getting assistance from their mother. He was no longer concerned. Following that, he attempted to access Vicki's computer files in an attempt to learn who she was seeing extramarital affairs with. Then he came to a stop. Did the identity of the other guy really matter? After considering it, he concluded that it didn't. Vicki took responsibility for her actions. She made this decision on her own. Then Brad thought of another. Despite Vicki's belief to the contrary, he wasn't stupid. If not in their union. Though that was personal matters, he might have missed clues that their marriage was failing. It was different in business. Sometimes you had to play dirty in business in order to win. Part of it involved giving gifts or bribes, and keeping those hidden from the tax authorities meant stashing cash in remote locations. Brad had 4 of these accounts, one of which was personal to him. He kept credit cards for it in his desk at work as well. He returned to his online bank and transferred all of his funds from his primary bank to his distant bank after giving it some more thought. He arranged for it to occur on Tuesday night. He had time for the funds from the trust fund to transfer to his account, but he hesitated, reviewing his options. Brad stopped the move to his bank in a new window. He selected an offshore account and scheduled the transfer for midnight. Although the money would have been tracked, neither the IRS nor a U.S. court could access it because he had paid the required amount. Nothing to worry about from them. Re-entering his bank website, he selected midnight as the transfer time and hit the send button. He looked at his investment account after that. Closing it meant losing some money, but for the time being his money was safe because he moved what was left offshore for midnight. When tonight was through, he would have $10 million there. Let's talk about his business now. He wasn't the boss. On paper, it was set up as an LLC. His parents were the owners of his job, just like any other employee. Vicki had no genuine claim, but she might fight for it in a divorce. Safe from her, the company would be registered in his parents' names. They would undoubtedly not support her. It was to be safeguarded until his parents could sell. Brad heard Vicki asking him if he was okay at the door. He said nothing. She tried a little bit, found the door locked, gave up, and left, probably believing he would follow her outside later. Reaching for his phone, he dialed his father. "Dad, yeah, I'm whispering. Can you hear me all right? Good. Is the old house empty? I need it. I'm leaving Vicki behind. She spent some time with someone else. Less than an hour ago, I asked Mark and Jennifer, and they informed me that they were aware. After hanging up the phone, Brad whirled in his chair and pried open several folders from the filing cabinets. He took out his passport, his car papers, his old army paper, the house deed, and his last 3 years of taxes. He took his briefcase and copied everything else after sliding his army paper and car paper inside. The originals were immediately placed back in the cabinet. In addition, he seized all the folders pertaining to his company and placed them inside his briefcase. After pausing to consider what more he might need, he returned to his computer. He made the decision to look further. Since the phone plan was in his name, he disconnected Vicki and the children's phones and programmed it to terminate at midnight. He used to pay for the cars that both of his children had. Now his wife, the source of his ire, could handle those bills. He then went through his insurance documents. He canceled Jennifer, Mark, and Vicki's auto insurance. He made sure to remove Vicki from the list of people who would get money in the event that he passed away and replace her with his parents, letting Vicki take care of everything on her own, including paying for the children. He copied all the necessary files from the computer onto a thumb drive he discovered in his desk. He added additional items to his case. Once he had everything he desired, he cleaned the computer and installed a basic version of Windows. It would cost Vicki money to restore it to its previous state. A lot of her apps would disappear. Vicki left her laptop at work because she disliked laptops. She would have to go get it or wait until Monday. He shut down his own laptop, grabbed its cord, and placed another call with precise instructions. Then Brad closed his file, grabbed his cord and laptop, and walked out of the office. He didn't try to locate Vicki. Taking the spare car key from the wall, he unlocked his fancy car and opened the garage. He packed his belongings in the trunk. Brad then went to the garage and got 2 large bags and packed them full of suits and clothes. Vicki left the bedroom for an hour without calling to see how he was doing. He didn't mind that he suspected she might be outside. Before he left the room, he grabbed his tablet, his wallet, his keys, and all the cords. He placed the suits in the back seat and the bags in the trunk of the car. He gave it a lot of thinking, trying to remember anything. Then it dawned on him. One last thing he needed, he realized. For his birthday, his parents had given him a tiny, ancient bottle of scotch. He knew he couldn't leave it, even though he hadn't opened it. Brad returned inside, retrieved the bottle, and took 3 gleaming glasses off the drink shelf. Then he asked himself, why not? He proceeded to the garage and located some moving boxes. He didn't want to give up their expensive wine because he and Vicki enjoyed it so much. He picked up 3 tall wine glasses as well. After carefully packing the boxes, Brad loaded them into his car and put them on the back seat. He didn't even try to close the house garage door. After opening the garage door and getting into his car, Brad left it open. Vicki had vanished from view. Vicki had been waiting for his return outside. She was confident he would. It would just require some time for him to calm down and open up more. It was true that this was just a fight, no different from any other time they disagreed, but she and Brad were known for speaking up during arguments. He had never been angry with her for an extended period of time in their relationship, and none of their previous arguments had ever damaged their relationship. Yes, Brad did, and he had every right to be upset about what she told him. It was expected, and it was something they could handle. She would not hold it against him if he felt the way he must right now. God, she would be devastated and utterly destroyed if she were in his position. However, Brad had always been the strong one in her life, so his feelings were stronger than hers. Still, she didn't think she had communicated her plans as clearly as she could have, and there was no simple way to tell him. She told him early, at least. If he had learned later, it would have been far worse. He was given a fortnight to reflect on the matter, a chance to collect himself and recall that their union remained robust. Brad was aware that he had to be aware of her love for him. Despite their constant declarations that they would only be together, he knew she believed there was no better man on the planet. When she said that things have changed in the modern era, she wasn't kidding. People change over time, as does their way of thinking. Your mentality changes as you age. However, this does not imply that love changes, it remains constant. She would always love Brad. It was not a big deal, this little thing she wanted to do was just a bump in the road. However, the children felt that was a little unfair of her. It might cause him serious harm that would take time for him to recover from. Those children were his real children, even though she was only his spouse. He had given them everything, loved them, encouraged them to reach their full potential, and provided for their every need. He never once voiced any complaints. It was low to use the children in that way, yes. She could handle that, even though Brad might never let it go. The children were central to her scheme, they would be the means by which she would win Brad over. He would have to witness the misery of life without his family if he were to remain absent for the next 6 days due to extreme loneliness. Brad would be angry and hurt for roughly 6 days because he was a man who needed people around him, especially his family. He would reach out to the kids, though, and they would insist that he stay. Brad found it difficult, but she could handle it. Vicki guessed fairly well what he was doing in his office, which was to ensure the security of his money. That was logical. Brad was cautious and astute. It is likely that he was considering spending a few days in a hotel as well. She was aware that she would miss him this week, but it was inevitable. Brad had to experience what it was like to be by himself. He loved his family too much to be apart from them for an extended period of time. He felt that they needed him just as much as he needed them. Vicki was certain Brad would consider walking away. He would discuss it and possibly promise to carry it out. He may even begin to walk away from her, but he would never truly go. Vicki didn't believe so, not after making a minor error. She wasn't sure why she felt so certain, but she was. After enjoying herself, she would confront Brad's decision when she got back. She had a straightforward plan, a brief thrill ride followed by a week or two of Brad's cold shoulder. That meant 2 weeks at most of planned silence and no kisses or hugs. He pondered whether she considered the long-term implications of this. 4 months, she did. She flipped it over in her head, speculating about Brad's response. She knew Brad's stubbornness wouldn't last, but he was a proud man who could be as stubborn as they came. It never took place. Things between them would change in 20 years, but not all change would be negative. He might not trust her as much now, but they could work that out eventually. She also had a thought: Brad could stay with her sister Sarah for 2 weeks. In all honesty, Brad was much more attracted to Sarah than Vicki, and he also thought she was more attractive. In an attempt to calm Brad's hurt feelings, Sarah had agreed to spend 2 weeks hanging out with him. That would bring things with Brad almost to par, or at least fairly close. Even if Brad declined, he would still find value in the idea and see it as Vicki's attempt to put things right. It was manageable. Vicki's thoughts returned to the reason behind her actions. She wasn't infatuated with the guy she chose, and it wasn't like she had to. Yes, he was attractive, intelligent, endowed with a wonderful aura, and able to make her laugh. She was quite trusting of him. He was affable and probably enjoyable to be around. Looks were not the point at all. What happens next? Certainly not bored with life. She's also happy with her romantic life. Brad excelled in that regard. She wasn't attempting to cover any emotional gaps that Brad couldn't resolve. Heck, her 20 years of marriage to Brad had been better than she could have imagined. Thus, why? Vicki exhaled deeply. She really had no good reason, or at least none that was worth explaining. It was a test to see if she could pull it off and to see if Brad would agree. Undoubtedly stupid, reckless, icy, and even cruel. Would her marriage fall apart? Perhaps. There was a chance. Was it worthwhile? No, but even so, she was pursuing it. So why? Though not enough to deter her, the fact that she couldn't truly tell bothered her. If Vicki had truly known why she was making this decision, she would have felt better about it. She was prepared to carry it out even though she didn't. Brad would get hurt, But Sarah would help make some of that better. Who knows, maybe she could even be more attractive in bed than Vicki. That would be a risk. Vicki never understood why she was drawn to risk. It eluded her. She intended to return to Brad after spending 2 weeks with her partner. She was certain that she would never leave Brad for anyone, and she didn't worry about falling ill or having children because she and her partner took precautions, even with the tests. Yes, it was a little crazy, but not unhinged. She sighed, wondering what had become of Brad. It was supposed that he would have returned. She made the decision to find him. The office and garage doors were wide open, which did not surprise her. His car was gone, exactly where she had assumed it might be. How much time would he be gone? She saw that he had taken a lot of clothes from their bedroom, and she noticed that the living room had lost the alcohol, including that large bottle of scotch that belonged to his parents. It wasn't like him at all. Brad was a different person now. He wasn't drinking to get over his problems. Brad arrived at his parents' former residence before them. He had everything ready in the appropriate rooms even before they arrived. Although it was old, it was built in 1910 and in good condition, thanks to the efforts of his father Aaron, who spent money maintaining it. It was a 2-story, 2,500 square foot, large, comfortable Victorian home in a nice neighborhood. There were even functional fireplaces. His parents reduced the size of the team but kept the house so that only a select few could live there because they felt it was now too big for them. Vicki was adamantly opposed to Brad's frequent thoughts of purchasing the house from his parents because, for some reason, she felt strange about it. It made her feel uneasy. Vicki used to refer to it as the Halloween house. The mere thought of being there gave her the creeps. It made sense, though, because Brad loved the house and had grown up there. He laughed, but it was a sad laugh, when there was a knock on the door. After 10 minutes or so, his parents entered. "Brad, when did you get a pickup truck?" "Brad, are you here?" His father yelled inside. "Got a truck," Brad said as he left the kitchen to give his dad a quick squeeze and give his mother a hug. His father inquired once more. He pulled away from his mother and lied, saying, "No, Dad. It's just for show. Some of my security team brought it here for me. It's one of my new cars. Perhaps Vicki will stop by and notice the truck, leading her to believe that someone else resides here." "Well, that's clever," his mother exclaimed. "Now, what's this about Vicki cheating?" She insisted. "There's more in the car, son," said Brad as they all moved to the kitchen to begin unpacking the food his parents had brought. "We've got coffee, mugs, and a Keurig for you. I'm not sure what you can use with this. Aaron, go get it. I have to hear what Brad has to say. I'll assist him." After Brad finished his story, they were all sitting at the kitchen table drinking fresh coffee. His parents looked shocked until his mother's face turned very red. "Mom, I didn't tell him everything, and I'd rather just say it once." "Brad, please, I want to scream at your wife every expletive possible." "If your dad wasn't so offended by hurtful remarks, I would too," she remarked angrily. "Oh, stop, Aaron," said Aaron as he sat back and raised an eyebrow at her. "You are aware that my use of foul language bothers you." "Well, yes, it does upset me, but maybe just this once it's okay," he replied. "It sure is," Grace growled, "but I won't do it." "Thank you, Mom. In all honesty, it's not worth it." She questioned, and the kids knew about it all. "Yes, they did inform me 4 months prior that they were aware of and comfortable with Vicki. They believe she is entitled." Grace nearly spat out her words. "What's wrong with kids these days? Brad, you ought to have given them more discipline when they were younger." Shaking his head, Brad asked, "Have you ever used a belt on me? Did you ever hurt your dad or me?" he inquired. She fired back. "Well, there you have it. What awful children. The things they've done are shocking." "Okay, Grace, calm down," his father said. "Let's think of how we can help." "Okay, Grace, but later, okay, Brad? I might still use a belt on them later," she continued. "You're going to remain here?" "Yes, please, if I can." His mother even said, "Thank you, Mom, but I don't think I'll stay long, maybe a week. This house is yours as long as you need, forever." In a hopeful tone, his mother said, "Are you going there to find them and deal with that guy?" "I need some alone time. Maybe travel far for a bit, a month, maybe two. Just thinking Aruba." "It's not Aruba, Mom." "Are you acquainted with Vicky's partner?" "No, sorry. To be completely honest, I'd rather not know." "Do you think you'll be able to forgive Vicky in the future? Perhaps apply makeup?" "No, Papa. He has been her partner for 4 months. You believe her when she claims that they haven't shared a bed." "Dad, it's not gonna matter. We broke our marriage vows because she planned this. Those kids," Grace spat out, "so a divorce looks like it. She pretended that we were happy on our 20th anniversary, and even the kids knew and went along with it. I must resolve a few issues before consulting a lawyer. My finances will be destroyed by divorce. I detest the thought of compensating Vicki for what she did. I've reorganized my finances, switched my life insurance to cover you and your mother, and eliminated the kids' college fund. Vicki can handle it, or the children can go to work." "Not anymore, thank you." "Well, what, Brad? Put my money in an overseas account." "Mom, that's your money. That's what we've saved for their graduation presents." "That's exactly it, Brad. I'd rather not give it to them." "That's your choice." "They don't deserve it," Mom angrily remarked. "Your grandkids are those." "That is untrue, Brad. They haven't injured you." When Brad's phone buzzed on the table, he ignored it until it stopped, then he checked it and took a moment to think about it. "Was that Vicki on the phone?" "They hurt our son," Dad said. Brad just shrugged. "It's still up to you." "No, Mark. I've just blocked both her and Jennifer's numbers. They don't need to contact me at this time." "Have they left you any messages?" "Yes, from the young ones. Voicemails. Neither do I want to listen to those." "Nothing from Vicki." "It won't matter very soon. After tonight, they won't be able to call. I disconnect my plan from their phones. This plan also expires this week. Next Monday or Tuesday, I'll get a new one." "How's your work going, Brad? How are you going to respond?" "I'm thinking of selling it, Brad," his father inquired. "You and Mom own it, so you have a say. We don't know much about your work, Brad. I've been mulling that idea over for a while." "That would have been a great trip," his mother remarked. "I dreamed of stopping work early, getting Vicki to agree, and traveling the world for a few years." "Not anymore. Did I mention that she used our joint bank account to pay for her trip to Aruba?" "Did she?" "Grace, what the hell?" "Oh, Aaron, please stop. That really is amazing. What's the matter with her? Making him pay for cheating is even worse. She needs to learn a lesson from someone, I agree, but really, Grace, the FW? Aaron, keep your strength up. Right now, I can't stand her. Will you please give me a break? Please, no more FWS. All right, good, for you and Brad. All right. Brad, do you have a specific person in mind to pitch the work to?" "Yes, a man who has shown interest for the past year. I'm going to give him a call and we're going to hang out." "Is he local?" "Oh, that's quite a trip. No, he's from Tokyo, Japan. Yes, I think I might need a trip to Tokyo right now. I won't stay there, Mom, just going for a little while." "How long will this last?" "Maybe a few weeks, I'm not sure." "So what, Brad?" Brad shrugged his shoulders and said, "At least not right now." "Not sure." "Come on, let's eat dinner." "I'm hungry," his dad said. After they ate, his parents cleaned up with him, then left. Brad made sure the door was locked and turned off the light outside. Mark had tried to call his dad a lot. He felt bad for not stopping his mom's silly idea. He felt even worse for not telling his dad, but was it? Really a big deal at their age? Wow, they had been together for 20 years. Dad must know. Mom didn't want to hurt him, it was just something she wanted to try. It wasn't a big thing, so why worry? Mark called his sister. Hey, it's me. Have you attempted to contact your father? Yes, he isn't answering. Well, Mom said he wouldn't want to talk right away. That doesn't mean he shouldn't, I believe he blocked us. Mark, we made a mistake. Jan, does it really matter? We ought to have told Dad right away. Mom wants to do this, really. Assume Dad stopped her after we told him. Would that discourage her from trying again now? Perhaps more cunning, though. Mark, I'm not sure. Simply put, I'm not sure. But Dad needed to know. He now believes that we don't care or love him. That is untrue. No, it's not. Yes, he must be feeling awful right now. Have you and Mom spoken recently? What is going on in your home? I gave her a call. She claimed he took a bunch of clothes and alcohol with him when he left. Dad, booze? Yes, plenty of wine and that aged whiskey from Graham and Gramps. She believes he is somewhere in a hotel, getting ready to have a big drink. Wow, I can't imagine Dad having a drink. He's never looked like that to me. That's not how Dad is at all. Do you suppose he'll return home before Mom leaves? I'm clueless. How come you would do that? Chain her to the bed, perhaps, to prevent her from leaving. Haha, I don't think Dad would do that. But it would be humorous. Except in cases where he needs more stuff, I really don't see him returning home before next Saturday. If he even bothers, I bet he waits for her to leave for work. This is terrible, Mark. We are terrible. Dad must believe we don't approve of him. What happens if he hurts himself? Similar to what? I'm not sure. He's sipping wine and old scotch by himself. Anything could occur. Well, I believe he'll get sick if he combines the wine and scotch. Please don't be cruel, you understand. Hey, chill out. You're asking me questions that I can't respond to. Please just unwind. I'm going to check if Grandma has seen him by giving her a call. Jan, I would never do that. Why not? Grandma would be furious with us if Dad told her we had sided with Mom. It wouldn't be her. Ever catch Grandma in a fury? Indeed, I have. I won't take a chance. I'm not going to call Grandma. You feel afraid. Yes, better to be afraid than hurt. I refuse to take that chance. Mark, screw you. Mark didn't think calling Grandma would work out, but Jennifer hung up, and 5 minutes later, she called back. Mark, Grandma is really upset. She screamed so loudly that I fear she cracked my ear. I no longer even have an eardrum. Now it resembles a tambourine. She was still screaming about blisters and a belt. How should we proceed? Well, steer clear of Grandma for a while. Act sincere. I dunno, maybe give Mom a call? No, this is her fault. Yes, but where on earth could Dad be? Jan, I have no idea. The old house, perhaps? No, it is fully rented. I believe the lease is for 3 years or something. He could be sleeping on a sofa or something at his office, or he might be at a hotel. You're stupid, our father curled up on a sofa? Are you this naive all the time? Yep, it's a tough look to keep up, but I try my best. I'm serious, and you're cracking jokes. Yeah, Jan, I kind of like it. When I'm afraid. You must therefore constantly be afraid. I believe it would be best if we returned home tomorrow. We have to go find Dad and make amends. Mom says that's premature. She suggests that we hold off until he settles down a little. And in what cases has Mom been correct? This shouldn't be occurring at all. Her cheating on Dad is not appropriate. Yeah, well, she shouldn't, but she does. It is beyond our power to alter. She needs to quit, but she refuses to. Not very soon. What would we do if we had to return? Hear Mom tell you more lies? She is someone I no longer want to listen to. You understand how she has complete control over us. All right, Dad. He may even grab a gun and shoot us. What then is your plan? If we return home, what do you think will happen? I have to try something. I'm not sure what to do. I must try, even though all I might accomplish is yell at Mom. It still amazes me that I tolerated her infidelity. I'm shocked that I kept it from my father. Mark, it's getting to me. Something has to be tried by me. Anything at all. Jen, take action based on your own judgment. Although I believe it's a waste of time, you are free to disagree. I will call my mother and attempt to reason with her. It was his body's fault, really. It could metabolize alcohol too quickly, so he never got to feel drunk. He didn't drink much because of it. Drinking just didn't do much for him. Brad was sitting at the kitchen table, sipping a very old scotch, when his phone rang. He had been there for hours, drinking with the scotch. A full third of the bottle was gone. Brad was upset that he wasn't even feeling a buzz from what he'd drunk. He should be feeling something. It made him think of everything that had happened to him since he had first met Vicki, including their wedding, the birth of their children, the good and bad times spent with the family, the trips, the expansion of their business, and the dreams that he and Vicki had shared. It felt like a bad dream now that it was all over, and he was even more angry at the way things had worked out. What do you want, Sarah? He didn't care about being nice now. Brad, are you okay? Where are you? Vicki said, you left. Did you know Sarah? What she's been up to? Why didn't you tell me, Sarah? We were close. Why? She's my sister, Brad. So, she got you to turn on me too? Great. It's not like that, Brad. Yes, it is. Did your folks know too? Yes, Brad. They're not happy. So everyone is against me, Brad? It's just a small thing to you. Maybe to me, it's huge. Brad was really mad now, his voice cold. Brad, where are you? Can I see you? No, I can't deal with any of you now. I don't want you in my life. Stay away from me. Brad ended the call and blocked her number. He even blocked all the numbers for his wife's family. Cut me off from them. Forget them all. Mom, it's Mark. Have you heard from Dad? Vicki made a face. No, Mark, and I don't think I will. Not for days at least. Did you hear from him? No, Mom. He blocked my and Jen's phones. I don't think I'll hear from him again either. Stop being so over the top, Mark. Your dad is upset and mad. He has a right to be. But it's not the end of everything. No, Mom, it isn't. But it feels like the end of our family. It is not, Mark. It's just selfish and dumb on your side. How dare you talk to me like that? Why not, Mom? I should have said it ages ago. You're being so selfish and mean by doing what you did. And now you're making it worse by taking this trip to Aruba. Fix this before you totally break our family. Jen is planning to come back tomorrow. Why would she do that? She's coming back to look for Dad and say sorry to him. I think she also wants to talk you out of this silly trip of yours. I've had enough of you talking to me like that, Mark. Too bad, Mom. Don't you think what you're doing is rude to all of us? How about we say disgraceful, not just rude? I've heard enough from you, Mark. Maybe, but you need to fix this and fast. This will not end how you think it will. What do you mean? It means you don't have my support. You lost Jen's too. Grandma and Grandpa know what's going on. Grandma said she's going to whip us all. Vicki laughed. I will have her arrested if she tries. Do you think Grandma worries about a few days in jail? You're crazy if you do. Listen, Mom, stop this mess and make up with Dad. Stay here, find him, and ask for his sorry. Do that, Mom, or I'm done with you. What? You don't mean me. Yeah, I really do. I feel so bad I wasn't there for Dad. He needs us. You don't end this or you're losing me and maybe Jen too. I mean it, Mom. End it. No, Mark hung up. Vicki tried to call back, but he didn't pick up. Before she could leave a message, her phone rang again. It was her sister Sarah. I'm kind of tied up right now, Mark's making a fuss. I just talked to Brad, Vicki. It's ugly. What? What did he say? Lord, Vicki, he said he's cutting us off. Oh, Sarah, he's just mad. He's way past just mad, Vicki. He's hurt. But his voice was icy and his words mean. You really didn't see how mad he is, sis. He's totally serious about dropping all of us, even Mom and Dad. You have to stop messing with him now. Was he drunk? No, he was clear-headed. Brad is really angry, Vicki. Angry like we've never seen, man, his voice scared me. Vicki sighed. Why is everyone being so over the top? That's crap. Vicki, I'm still shaking from what he told me. I don't get why you're doing this, but if you don't stop, you're going to lose him for good. All of us will. Don't throw your snark at me. Keep up that trip or seeing Nathan, and you're done. Might already be, since you turned his kids on him, for Pete's sake. Why am I stuck with kids? Vicki mumbled, to hell with you. I'm here trying to save your marriage, and you call me a kid? To hell with you. Take your trip, screw up worse than you have, get every bad thing going. Don't even think to call me when he dumps you. To hell with you. Sarah hung up. Vicki frowned, then dialed another number. Graham picked up, yelled a dirty name, and hung up. Vicki let out a sigh. That call went wrong. She was more careful with the next call. What do you want, dear? Did you tell Brad your silly plan? I did, Mom. I guess he didn't like your plan or what you did before. No, Mom. He acted just like I thought he would. He left our home with clothes and his computer stuff, took a lot of drinks too. Vicki, you know your dad and I don't like what you've been up to or what you plan to do. It's bad. Did you talk to Mark? What? No, why? Did he change his mind? Looks like it. He just told me if I keep up with my plan, he's done with me. Well, seems the boy finally grew a spine, Mom. That's no way to talk about your grandson. I think differently. He's let us down these last months. Good to hear he's got some guts now. So, Brad has moved out. Got any clue where he went? No, Mom. I got no word from him, and neither have the kids since he told them bye at the house. Sarah just talked to him, though. Oh? What did he say to Sarah? Nothing nice, it seems. He told her he was through with all of us, you and Dad too. Well, that's not great. It's just for now, Mom. I doubt it. Vicki, have you ever known Brad to flip-flop or say stuff he didn't mean? No, never. Well then, you know how this will end. Bet on it. By the way, have you looked at your bank accounts? The kids' school money? No, why should I? Vicki's mom laughed. Your dad and I made a bet. What bet? I bet your dad that Brad would take all the money out, even the kids' school fund, before he left. Vicki didn't wait to hang up with her mom. She rushed to see her desktop computer at home. Starting up Windows, it looked like it would take an hour more. She yelled in shock. Brad looked at the clock. It was 3:30 a.m. He had sat by himself at the kitchen table for about 6 hours, thinking over last night. He thought about every word Vicki said, every look she gave when she talked about her plans for the weekend, the ones that upset him. He felt angry, upset that the kids and her family backed her up. He drank a lot of scotch but didn't feel drunk. Deep down, he had made a big choice to sell his business. Late at night, he had sent a message to a possible buyer in Japan, asking to meet in the next weeks to talk about selling. The scotch made him think, but it didn't help with his pain or calming his thoughts. Then he realized something big. Vicki didn't say she loved him. Not even once. The day before, when she told him her news, saying "I love you" was a big part of their marriage. They always said it, every single day for 20 years. But she didn't say it yesterday or last night. Not even once. Brad was lost in a fog, his mind not clear because of the drinks. Yet, even with his thoughts all muddled, he felt like he should get what was going on. Was she tired of him, wanting someone new, someone she loved already? She hadn't said it, but did that mean it wasn't true? Her not saying "I love you" and acting so carefree, that had to mean he wasn't important to her, right? Or, to put it another way, he didn't matter to her and those 2 kids. Why would they go along with Vicki's scheme? Couldn't they see what she was doing to him? How could they not predict how he'd feel about her lies, that they would just turn their backs on him too? Brad was heartbroken. Turns out, they sided with Vicki, tricking him for months. They both didn't care that their mom was being unfaithful. Mark's words, "lighten up," so easy to say when you're not the one being left. And Jennifer, her mom, had it coming, such dumb, shallow, cold words. Brad felt no point in trying to make sense of it anymore. Those 2 cared more for Vicki than for him, and nothing they said could undo that harsh truth. That's it. They chose her, not him. They couldn't care less about him. He was on his own now, truly alone, no wife, no kids, no family. 0. The life he knew and loved was over, finished. His new life started, now it was up to him what to make of it. He couldn't go back to what was, it was all gone. Brad usually kept his feelings hidden, he knew who he was and was okay with that. Vicki liked to call everyone friends, not Brad. For Brad, being called a friend meant much more. He once had a friend, Greg Moore, a guy he'd grown up with. They had been buddies since they were kids. But then Greg got sick with lupus and died in less than a year. Brad was never the same after losing Greg. From then on, he only really let his family get close. Others were just people he knew, some more than others, but never real friends in his eyes. The only ones he truly held dear were Vicki, Mark, and Jennifer. He gave them his all, always. But it seems it was never enough for them. Why? What was so big for Vicki to walk away like this? Wasn't his love enough? Was he too dull for her? Was there someone else she liked better? Did she think she and the kids were too good for him now? Was he just money to them? Had he always been? She didn't give a real reason, just that she wanted it for herself, like she needed space, as if she was off to get her nails done or something. How could she think he'd be okay with this? Think he'd just move on and forgive? That's not who he was. He told her straight, she took everything from him. He'd never forget or forgive. Not her, not Mark, not Jennifer. He noticed his hands shaking and felt a tear on his cheek, quickly wiping it away. No tears, no feeling sorry for himself. He would miss his family, or what he thought was his family, but he wouldn't let the deep sadness beat him. Nope, they wouldn't rule over him. No one would. He knew Vicki well, better than she knew him, it seemed. She thought she could hurt him and just walk away. She believed a little short sorry from her would fix it all, making things go back to before. She thought she could get off easy, thinking she had him under control. But she was wrong. Just because he didn't hold on to anger before doesn't mean he'd let it slide this time. Drunk or sober, his anger wouldn't go away now. Damn cheating woman. If he wasn't good enough for her, then so be it. Her loss. His life was his, and like the saying goes, she didn't own him. No, they could throw him away, but he didn't have to lay low. He could get up, dust himself off, and just leave. They said he meant nothing to them, well, now they meant nothing to him. Not anymore. He'd just forget them. Hard to do, yes, but possible. He was rich, after all. Thanks for seeing me, Brad. I really didn't think you would, said Irene, his mother-in-law, as she met him for lunch that Thursday. I'm still trying to get why I said yes to your call at work, Irene. I don't know what to think. Irene took Brad's hand across the table. Brad, you are like the son me and Bert never had. I know you think me and Bert helped Vicki in her bad choice, but I want you to know we didn't. We both don't agree with what she did and what she plans to do, please believe that. Brad was sure Irene was not lying to him. Irene always told it like it was, never tried to make things sound better or blame others. He couldn't think of anyone more straight up than Irene. Irene gave him a soft, sad smile. We tried to talk her out of this crazy idea, Brad. We thought it might cool things down so she'd see her mistake. If that failed, we hoped she'd think of you and back off before it's too late. I know it sounds terrible, but we didn't want you to get hurt if we could stop it. Brad kept quiet for a bit. Irene, I get why someone married as long as I've been might get curious, maybe a bit of flirting, that's it. We all like a little attention. He paused. Irene just looked at him waiting, but Vicki knew how I felt about staying true, no cheating ever. That was our rule for 20 years. Then, without a word, she changed everything. 4 months ago, she just decided to do what she wanted, consequences be damned. I can't figure out why. I have no clue why she'd start this affair. I wish I could tell you why, Brad, but I can't. You've probably guessed what we all think. She's doing it because she thinks she can, believing you'll just take her back, forgive her. Brad's face showed his anger. That's not going to happen, Irene. Not now, the kids. Irene asked softly, yeah? Why would she put me through this? She could have kept it from them. They didn't need to know from the start. She dragged them into this mess. Why did they keep it hush from me? Irene let out a big sigh. It's hard to say, Brad. Vicki's made things really messy with them. But when you ask them, they don't see the harm in what Vicki's up to. They've told me and Bert they think it won't mess up your marriage. That's how young folks seem to think these days. Brad's look was sharp. You talked to them? Yep. Bert and I tried talking to Mark and Jennifer a lot, but it didn't change a thing, she sighed once more. You should also know Mark and Jennifer have met the guy Vicki picked out more than once. Looks like they're cool with him and give him the thumbs up. Are you kidding me? Hey, don't get mad at me. I just found out last night how Vicki and Jennifer were over for dinner. Vicki wanted her buddy to come too, but we said no. Bert and I, we don't back what she's doing to you. You know this friend? We do. You don't. Vicki kept mum on his name. His name's Nathan Trumbull. Brad knew the name but couldn't match a face. I don't know him. Vicki said it was someone familiar. Well, you've met him a few times at our place. He works for Bert and showed up at a bunch of our parties. You've definitely talked to him. Guess he didn't stick in my mind then. I'd have no clue who he is even if he sat right next to you. Well, he's big news at Bert's work. Top dog, really. Bert had a talk with him and it didn't go great for you, I'm afraid. Nathan's got a way with words and charm. He told Bert, in a nice way, that he was sorry if his new thing with Vicki was making things hard for them, but choosing to be with Vicki was something both grown-ups agreed on and it had nothing to do with his work. Bert was shocked, but he couldn't say or do much. Nathan got the job before the company made rules about right and wrong behavior. So you can't really blame Nathan for what he's doing. Bert can't just fire him for being with Vicki, not unless he wants a lawsuit for firing him for no good reason. That sounds like a really bad idea. Maybe. Maybe not. To be honest, Nathan has put Bert in a tough spot. Bert really needs Nathan at work. I'm not sure what Nathan plans with Vicki in the long run, But Vicki was very clear last night that she won't stick with Nathan for much longer. Vicki told me straight up that Nathan is nothing compared to you in her life. Sounds like a load of lies to me. Bert and I thought so too. Nathan may seem too sure of himself, but you only get hints of that. He's got this confidence that covers up his too big ego, but he's good to talk to. Is he married? No, and from what I've heard, he's never been. Are you thinking of checking up on him? No, it's not worth the effort or the money. That took Irene by surprise. You're not okay with this, are you? No, Irene's eyes grew wide, then she started laughing. You've got a plan, don't you? She said, all excited. Brad stayed quiet, his look turning tough, which made Irene stop laughing fast. Bradley Duncan, I've been your friend for 22 years, and in all that time, you've never had to doubt me or my care for you. I promise you right now, anything you tell me, anything you've already told me, stays just between us. I won't even tell Bert unless you say it's okay. You haven't left me behind, Brad, nor has Bert. We're with you. Tell us anything, but know it stays with us. Brad took a moment to calm down. Okay, Irene. I trust you, and thanks. This week's been tough. She held his hand tight again. We love you, Brad. So does Bert. You're our family for always, no matter what. You're one of us. Brad nodded. All right. No, I won't go after Nathan. I won't chase him. I can't really blame him much, he's just taking what Vicki gave him. If she pushed him away, he'd be no trouble. How much is he to blame? 30%? 40? 50? I'm not thinking of divorcing Vicki, if that's what you're thinking. But I can't stay with her or have anything to do with her after this. She ended things with us, but I don't want to spend time, energy, or money on a divorce that could drag on if she fights it. What will you do then? Brad smiled. The Aussies say walkabout. I've decided to see the world. I don't need to be divorced for that. Maybe I'll find something that makes sense. Nothing here does anymore. Irene laughed. Vicki won't see that coming. Probably not. I know how Vicki thinks. She thinks she's in control, ready for anything. But she's wrong. She has no control over me, and never will. I bet she never thought I'd just walk away and cut her and the kids out of my life, but that's what I'm doing, Irene. They pushed me out, and I'm cutting them off. Can you really do that, Brad, emotionally I mean? Yes, I think so, for quite a while at least. I almost went back earlier this week, but I stopped myself. Why did you decide not to go back? When she told me about her cheating, she seemed too pleased with herself. That really made me mad. I'm going to keep remembering how that made me feel, also how my kid didn't seem to care at all. There's nothing left for me there, Irene. That's why I didn't go back. They might think it's okay, but it's not. I can't just forget or forgive any of it. Wow, what a tough spot, Brad. Yeah, it's a mess. Are you going to be okay with money? Traveling around can cost a lot. Bert and I are here if you need help. Thanks, I should be okay. I took all the money except for Vicki's own bank account and her stocks. Everything I took is now far away. I'll be fine, but thanks for offering. Did you leave the kids their college fund? No, they can pay their own way now, same for their cars. They pay or they lose them. Irene laughed. Bert thought you wouldn't go through with it. He also thought you planned to kick Vicki out while she's away in Aruba. You made a bet on this? Yep, good on you for taking the money, even though Vicki put half into the college fund. Have you told the kids? I haven't talked to them since Saturday. I blocked their numbers. Vicki can cover their school and cars. I'm done with all of them. That'll shock them. Did you know Jennifer has been home all week? No, you said something about Jennifer being with Vicki last night, but I didn't catch it. Well, last Sunday she got back home and had a big fight with Vicki. They've been fighting like cats all week. Jennifer has been looking for you everywhere, wanting to chat. Where were you hiding? I was over at my folks' old place. I left a truck out front to keep folks guessing. Irene chuckled. So was Jennifer trying to stop Vicki from going away on Saturday? She asked. Irene looked puzzled and unsure. I can't really tell. Sometimes yes, other times no, then they end up fighting again. It seems like Vicki can always get the kids on her side, and that's not changing. Jennifer feels bad she didn't talk to you, but it seems like she's not really against Vicki having a thing with Nathan. You know your kids like Nathan and don't mind him being around Vicki, Irene mentioned. That's great, I said, not really meaning it. Maybe for the younger folks, they don't see anything wrong with married people seeing others. Sounds crazy, but that's how it is, Irene said. What about Mark? I asked. Well, he hasn't talked to Vicki all week. He told her he'd have no more to do with her if she kept seeing Nathan. But Jennifer said at dinner last night that Mark's been chatting with Nathan like nothing's wrong, especially after Vicki gave him a new phone. It seems like Mark's not really mad at Vicki, more like he's upset because you're upset and he's trying to figure it all out. I know it's a bit mixed up how I'm saying it, Irene tried to explain.